Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. Let's go back to the beginning. 3 days before this whole nightmare began, I'm desperately waiting for the new rules to drop. We had gone 2 weeks without any word which Pokemon would be legal for competitive play, which, as someone who cares a lot about competitive play, was very stressful. Now, I was sure that the legendary Pokemon wouldn't be allowed, but I wasn't so sure about the Paradox Pokemon. Most players seemed to think that they'd be legal, so they were building teams around them. But when the rule set finally dropped, it was revealed that the Paradox Pokemon would not be competitively legal, at least for now. The problem was, the first tournament featuring these new rules was in 3 days' time. What? Players began scrambling for a new team that they could use that was legal. Not me though, I was cool as a cucumber. You see, I'd prepared for this outcome, and I'd built a team using 6 brand new legal Pokemon. And I had a master plan. The day after the rules were announced, the official in-game ladder would begin. I would pilot this team to become the #1 ranked player in all of Scarlet and Violet. And then 2 days later, I would put on a clinic in the very first tournament. It was the perfect plan. It was too good to fail. I felt so bad for my poor competitors who were scrambling to find a team last minute while I kicked my feet up and relaxed. So the in-game ladder finally goes live and I hop on and coast to an easy chat help rank no 1.
Man,
I wish I could tell you that that's what happened, but my perfect plan had a pretty major crow-sized hole. I built my entire team around boosting my Pokemon stats in a way that would overwhelm my opponent. Now, in most matches, this did work perfectly, but there was one Pokemon that I neglected to consider. A small, unevolved Pokemon with laughable stats, Murkrow. I knew Murkrow might be an issue for my team, but I mean, it's just a little bird. It can't be that popular, right? Oh my god, it's everywhere. About 1/3 of all the teams I played against had a Murkrow on it, and my perfect team had nothing to handle it. Murkrow, unlike Honchkrow, has the ability Prankster, which allows it to use non-damaging moves first. It's the only Prankster Pokemon with the move Tailwind, which is one of the best moves for controlling the speed of the battle. And, more problematically, it always uses the attack Haze, which is a move that removes all stat changes from the battle with 0 counterplay. I spent 7 hours trying and failing to get rank 1 in the world, ultimately calling it quits around 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up the next day after only a couple hours of sleep, and due to an overabundance of something that we call here on this channel the World Champ difference, I clutched it up and became the #1 ranked player in Scarlet and Violet. Great! Except I had a new problem. It was 3 in the afternoon, I had a stream with Jaden in 2 hours, the tournament was tomorrow, and my perfect team was only perfect as crow food. I spent the next 2 hours trying and failing to build a new team, drew some of the worst Pokemon the world has ever seen, and before I knew it, it was 7:30 and I had nothing. I decided to take a step back and build solely around Pokemon that I thought were strong. With the idea being, if I had strong Pokemon, I would at least have a fighting chance in most of my games. I started with Mousehold, which I had used on my last team as a support Pokemon. My sleep-deprived brain had only one thought: Population Bomb strong. So I put it on my team and started with an offensive set this time. Next, I wanted a Pokemon with Tailwind. I obviously wasn't going to add Murkrow after everything it had put me through, so I went with Hydreigon instead. It's an offensive Pokemon with good typing that makes excellent use of Terastallization. I remembered from way back in 2014 that Aegislash and Hydreigon have perfect defensive synergy, with each Pokemon resisting every one of the other's weaknesses, and since Gholdengo and Aegislash have the same typing, I added it next. But I didn't know what moves or item to give it. I'd played against 2015 world champion Shoma Honami during my climb to rank 1, and he had used an air balloon set, so I decided to give that a go. I wasn't sure where I should go next, and since I didn't exactly have time to test my team, I decided to just add 2 Pokemon that I knew were strong: Indeedee and Armarouge. Armarouge is the only Pokemon in the game with access to the extremely powerful attack Expanding Force. In order to bring out Expanding Force's full potential, Psychic Terrain needs to be up. Indeedee's ability sets up Psychic Terrain whenever it enters the field, and it's able to support its team with powerful supporting moves Follow Me and Helping Hand. I gave Armarouge a Life Orb and Terra Psychic to maximize its damage output, and I gave Indeedee a Psychic Seed to help it stay alive. I realized I was weak to Dondozo and Tatsugiri, and I needed a good standalone Pokemon that could function on its own without too much support. I saw that Meowscarada outsped Dondozo even after its boost, and since Flower Trick always crits, it ignores the defensive boosts as well. I threw on a Choice Band and Terra Grass because I don't know at this point. Played one game on the ladder, thought to myself, that was fine, and I went to bed. The next day I woke up neither refreshed nor ready to go, with no idea the roller coaster I was about to set foot on. This is my journey through the first tournament of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The first opponent on my path had a team of Garchomp, Tyranitar, Armarouge, Indeedee, Goldengo, and of course, Murkrow. Murkrow starts the battle off by setting up Tailwind, but Maushold makes it pay for its sins by taking it out in one hit with Population Bomb.
As long as I match Tailwind, this is fine, I would say.
Tyranitar uses Rock Slide, but it doesn't do that much damage, so all Hydreigon has to do is set up Tailwind and we'll be back in the lead. Without Tailwind, I am now at a huge deficit, as my opponent sends out a Garchomp that can KO either of my Pokemon. I protect Maushold, but Tyranitar's Ice Punch takes out my Hydreigon. It's looking really rough, so I go into my ace, Meowscarada. I switch Maushold into Goldengo and Terrastalize my Meowscarada, but my opponent decides to Terra Flying their Tyranitar, giving it a resistance to Grass. Garchomp's Dragon Claw is aimed at Meowscarada, but...
Overgrow range! Wait, that is... Yeah, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead, it's dead. Bye.
Tyranitar finishes off Meowscarada, making the battle a 2 against 2. Armarouge and my low HP Maushold enter the battlefield, but I see a guaranteed win condition. My opponent doesn't have Protect or Trick Room on their Armarouge, and Tyranitar doesn't have any moves that can damage my Goldengo. I Protect with both of my Pokemon to stall the last turn of my opponent's Tailwind, then launch a Population Bomb at Armarouge.
Who designed this Pokemon?
Tyranitar feints to Goldengo, and I win game 1. Oh, right, you're probably confused about how I knew that Tyranitar couldn't damage Goldengo, or that I knew the moves that Armarouge was running. This tournament used the open team sheet format, revealing the moves, items, abilities, and Terra types of each player's team. If you want to know why this is a good thing, check out this video. Oh, another thing. In order to win a round in this tournament, you need to win 2 out of a maximum of 3 games. So even though I won game 1, I definitely wasn't out of the woods. Game 2 starts, and I lead with Meowscarada and Hydreigon, thinking that my opponent will stick with Murkrow and Tyranitar from the last game. But my opponent leads with Murkrow and... Indeedee?
Oh, interesting.
Indeedee protects as Hydreigon launches a Dark Pulse into it, but Murkrow takes huge damage from Meowscarada's U-turn. Murkrow tried to take out Meowscarada with Brave Bird, but I went into Goldengo. Goldengo takes a lot of damage from that. I go for Tailwind and Nasty Plot, totally forgetting that Murkrow can just haze away my boosts. The turn ends up being something of a nothing burger, as we each set up Tailwind, I go for a stupid Nasty Plot, and Goldengo takes a little bit of psychic damage. Now it's time to scheme a little. I try to get rid of both Pokemon the next turn, but to my surprise, Murkrow switches into Garchomp. Okay, yeah, good protect. I could have doubled here. So doubling the Murkrow is better here for one reason specifically. Oh my god! Okay, now Garchomp's in range of Pop Bomb. My opponent switches Indeedee into Murkrow and launches a Dragon Claw at my Hydreigon. But I have the Habenberry, which halves the damage from super effective Dragon-type attacks. Murkrow took too much damage from the U-turn earlier, so even though Dark Pulse is not very effective, it still takes it out. Goldengo finishes off Garchomp, putting me in the lead with 4 Pokemon to 2. Armarouge and Indeedee both hit the field, and Hydreigon is looking great. A Dark type against 2 Psychic type Pokemon. But I forgot about Terrastalization. Terra Grass causes my Dark Pulse to do way less damage, and Helping Hand Armor Cannon finishes off my Hydreigon. 3 against 2 now, but I still have my ace, Meowscarada. Terra Grass Armarouge may no longer be weak to Dark, but it is still weak to my strong Bug-type attack, U-turn. This forces Indeedee to follow me and take the hit instead, as Meowscarada darts back to safety. Goldengo launches one final Make It Rain at Armarouge, and it picks up the KO, winning me the set. 1 win, 0 losses. Oh yeah, in order to make it to the next stage of the tournament, I would need to win 7 out of my 9 rounds. In other words, if I lost 3 times, I was out. Before we get to round 2, I want to ask you to subscribe. I'm only able to put so much time into big videos like this one because of your support, and the more people I can show competitive Pokemon to do, the bigger projects I'll be able to do as well. Sometimes YouTube will just randomly unsubscribe people, so even if you think you're subscribed, I'd really appreciate you double checking. And of course, whether you're subscribed or not, I do want to say thank you for watching my videos. I'm extremely lucky to be able to do what I do full time, and it's only possible because of people like you watching my content. Anyway, let's talk about round 2. I was feeling confident after my win until I saw my opponent's team. Choice Specs Goldango, Life Orb, Terra Ground Garchomp, Nasty Plot Rotom Wash, Arcanine, Amoonguss, and of course, Murkrow. I began very quickly scanning my team for Pokemon that could handle Murkrow when it was paired with either Specs Goldango or Life Orb Garchomp, and I found out pretty quickly that I have none. I lead off with Hydreigon and Armarouge, as my opponent sends out Garchomp and Murkrow. Okay. Don't flinch. Please, Hydreigon, not again. They crit me. Okay, really important. Honestly, super clutch, not gonna lie. Okay, the crit sucks. It really does. My opponent sends in Goldango, and I'm forced to play a guessing game. If I switch Armarouge into Indeedee and they go for Make It Rain, I'll lose Hydreigon and take a ton of unnecessary damage. But if I predict Make It Rain and stay in and go for Armor Cannon, I risk losing my Armarouge to Shadow Ball. With time running out, I predict to Make It Rain and stay in with Armarouge. Something's dying on my side. I just don't know if it's... I should have just switched. It was so obvious. Armarouge going down means that I've lost my best answer to Goldango, but I'm not out of this game yet. It's a 3 against 3 and we both have Tailwind up. I send out my Indeedee. I predict Goldango to switch out and I launch a Psyshock into it, and I get the read correct as Amoonguss switches in. Helmet, so if this is 66%, we're in good shape, I would say. Hydreigon chunks Murkrow with Draco Meteor, but I'm now stuck at -4 special attack. I'm worried about Murkrow switching into Goldango, so I switch my Hydreigon into my last Pokemon. Unfortunately... Oh, they got me. They super got me. Yeah, they got me? Did they get me? I didn't even tell. We're in the end game now. Both Goldango Terra Steel and launch Make It Rain. Indeedee protects itself, and I knock out Murkrow, but not before their Goldango does huge damage to mine. I thought this was Armarouge, and I was about to throw up. Okay. This is the crucial turn. I predict Amoonguss to not protect and go for Psyshock. I get the read correct. Thanks to the Make It Rain damage, their Goldango is in range of Dark Pulse, and Psyshock will finish off their Amoonguss. Come on, Amoonguss. Please survive. Or, Indeedee, please survive this. I calced wrong. No, I didn't calc wrong. With only Hydreigon left, I can't win a 1 against 2. I lose game 1. But it's a 2 out of 3. I'm still in this. I lead the same Pokemon, but my opponent switches it up and leads with Goldango and Garchomp. I predict Earthquake and a switch from Garchomp. Ooh? Hold up. Are we Bing chilling? Please don't flinch me. Just Earthquake. Please don't flinch me. Oh my god, I hate Garchomp. Please don't flinch, Hydreigon. If we don't flinch, we can win this immediately. Okay, I think we're in good shape here. Unlike last game, this time I have Tailwind up and they don't. I decide to Terra Psychic my Armarouge and go for Expanding Force as I switch into Indeedee for maximum damage. Rotom protects itself, but the Amoonguss that just switched in gets knocked out. Goldango re-enters the field and I have another choice. Armor Cannon is high risk, high reward, since I could take out this pesky Goldango, but they could also just switch into Garchomp. I can't risk it. Helping Hand Expanding Force is just so much safer. Rotom fails a double protect, and look at the damage that Expanding Force does. Okay. Yeah, that was with this. Yeah, Armarouge goes down, but it's taken out 2 Pokemon, so it's kind of done its job. Hydreigon re-enters the battle, and Goldango can't protect, and I still have a turn of Tailwind left. Hydreigon finishes off Goldango, and Garchomp can't win the 3 against 1. 1 win, 1 loss in this set. It's all down to game 3. Goldango Murkrow face off against my Hydreigon and Armarouge, and I once again have to play the guessing game of Shadow Ball versus Make It Rain. Goldango terastallizes as Murkrow sets up Tailwind again, and Make It Rain does a ton of damage into my poor Indeedee. Okay. I protect instead of Trick Room, but I take a ton of damage with Armarouge. Okay, a lot of damage. I'm running out of time to make my move, so I switch Indeedee into Hydreigon and launch a Panic Armor Cannon at Goldango, even though I expect to switch. Okay. I mean, having Hydreigon alive is a pretty big deal, though, to be completely honest with you. Unfortunately, Foul Play picks up the KO on Armarouge, keeping the Pokemon score even at 3-3. Amoonguss comes out, and things are looking really dire. Trick Room ends up totally backfiring, as Amoonguss puts Indeedee to sleep, and Hydreigon only does a little bit of damage to Murkrow. I protect and get Meowscarada in, but Amoonguss heals up Murkrow with Pollen Puff. Finally, at last, Trick Room is over. I double attack into Amoonguss. A lot of damage. Please kill. No! Amoonguss surviving there is horrible, as now 2 of my remaining 3 Pokemon are fast asleep. I reposition a little, and I burn a turn of sleep on Hydreigon. They just stayed in, they Pollen Puffed. Shoot. Okay. I have 1 final shot to win. Otherwise, it's over.
Okay, this is my only option, basically. Because I need to survive this. I need to wake up in one turn with Hydreigon. It comes down to Wonder Sleep, basically. I have a 33% chance of winning this game, assuming their last Pokemon is Garchomp. No. Yeah. All right. I mean, I think, honestly, I played this pretty well. Like, because if I get Tailwind there, I have a chance at winning. I think it was a really tough matchup. The Goldango was really hard.
Garchomp cleans up my Hydreigon, and Murkrow finishes off Meowscarada. 1 win, 1 loss in the tournament. Okay, so that wasn't great, but it was a bad matchup. The pairings for the next round are announced, and there's only one question on my mind. Will I have to play another Murkrow? Gengar, Garchomp, Rotom Wash, Annihilate, Corviknight, and Grimmsnarl. No Murkrow. It's still going to be tricky, but I think I can do it. Do I even need Hydreigon here? We ball. Let's try something weird. Welp. My opponent leads Annihilate and Corviknight, making my Indeedee and Meowscarada lead very awkward. The only Pokemon I have that can deal with Corviknight is my Armarouge, so I switch it in and click Follow Me with Indeedee. Annihilate protects, which is good, but... nice play. Okay, that's not ideal, is it? Since Indeedee was taunted, it's kind of useless, so I switch it back into Meowscarada. Annihilate boosts its stats with Bulk Up, but Armarouge takes out Corviknight in 1 hit, which is a really big deal. Gengar comes out. I U-turn Gengar and switch Armarouge into Indeedee, trying to posture for an offensive move. Taunt? I forgot about Taunt! Hey, Drain Punch doesn't do anything, which is fine. Gengar switches into Grimmsnarl, causing my Shadow Ball to do no damage. Indeedee does a fair bit of damage to Annihilate with Psyshock to finish off the turn. It's time to step on the gas. Grimmsnarl sets up Light Screen, which lets it survive Make It Rain, and Annihilate heals a ton of HP because of Drain Punch. Psyshock does like nothing to Annihilate. And now, Rage Fist is a 200 base power move. I protect Indeedee as Goldango takes out Grimmsnarl, bringing my opponent down to their final 2 Pokemon. What am I worried about? I was trying to put Indeedee next to Meowscarada so I could just KO everything with Flower Trick. But I forgot that if I do that, 1/3 of the time, Flower Trick will activate Gengar's Curse Body. And since my Meowscarada is Choice Band, that will mean I have to use Struggle. This is a major flaw in my perfect plan, and I panic, trying to find any way to not let it come down to chance, but time is running out. Don't love this move at all. I could have just won. Oh, I won! Armarouge KOs both Pokemon, and I'm able to win the game without it coming down to Cursed Body. For game 2, I decided to bring the same Pokemon, but in a different order. Since I was forced to switch into Armarouge turn 1 last game anyway, why not just lead with it? No Grim. This is the absolute worst lead they could have done for me. Just like last game, I'm forced to switch out turn 1. My opponent sets Light Screen and goes for a Rock Slide, and Indeedee flinches, wasting its attack. I decide to predict Garchomp to Protect, and go for Helping Hand and Flower Trick into Grimmsnarl. Nice Protect read from me. What? It lived! How did it live? Oh, they targeted it wrong. That was very lucky. If Meowscarada had gone down, I would have been in big trouble. I'm done messing around. It's time to hit the Ghost Sauce. Since Garchomp just protected, it's super vulnerable. Terra Grass, Helping Hand, Choice Band, Critical Hit Flower Trick one-shots Garchomp. But Meowscarada is about to get even stronger. Oh, that's news to me. Come on. We're in Overgrow range, baby. It's time. Overgrow makes Meowscarada's Grass-type attacks 50% stronger when its health drops below 1/3. Gengar goes for Terra Flying, remembering the good old days of when it had Levitate. Meowscarada takes out Grimmsnarl, and Gengar Sludge Bombs Indeedee as Indeedee uses Psyshock to break its Focus Sash. Psyshock! My opponent's last Pokemon is Annihilate. I predict it to Protect. That's not very effective, guys. It's not going to do any damage. Okay, actually, it does minimum 133%. Okay, 2 wins, 1 loss, and that last win felt pretty convincing. There's 6 rounds left in the tournament, and I need to win 5 of them. My next opponent also didn't have Murkrow. I'm feeling good. Garchomp, Hydreigon, Kingambit, Amoonguss, Rotom Wash, and Skeledirge. It looks like Maushold is finally gonna have a good matchup. I lead Maushold and Hydreigon into my opponent's Skeledirge and Choice Specs Hydreigon. It's Terra Fairy on the Skeledirge. Armarouge comes in. We've won at least 1 speed tie. Are they staying in? Switch, that makes sense. This is probably Kingambit, which I'd say is unfortunate. Let's see if they Terra. They hard read me. They got me. Some good damage down from that. Skeledirge hits Maushold with a Torch Song, immediately becoming way more threatening. I try and take out King Gambit and switch to Indeedee, but they protect and get another Torch Song up.
No, they don't. They switch into Hydreigon, most likely. Yeah, I knew this was coming, so I made the hard read. I covered for this. I could have Terra Psychics here, but I decided I didn't want to. Because in all honesty, I would actually like my Indeedee to go down here. I could have gone for Terra Psychic, but I decided not to because I want to save Terra for normal. Oh, I get the one-shot. Oh my god, Armarouge is so strong.
Garchomp re-enters the field, and suddenly things are looking rough. I try and use Terra Psychic Expanding Force to take out Garchomp, but they just protect and KO Indeedee. I go into Hydreigon to try and get speed control since their Hydreigon is forced to use Dark Pulse.
Okay. I'm so sick of eating rock slides. I should have been Covert Cloak. Miss! No. It's a speed tie. Confirmed. You've got to be kidding me.
Flinching there is really bad, as if I get Tailwind up, I can threaten a KO on both of my opponent's Pokemon. I can still win though. I just need my Hydreigon to win a speed tie.
Probably just gonna lose the speed tie anyway. Yeah, I lost the speed tie anyway.
I don't. At least I'll be able to do some damage with my Draco Meteor.
Miss, miss, miss. Nice, good miss. Super good miss.
I'm down to my final 2 Pokemon. Mousehold KOs Hydreigon with Population Bomb, but it then gets knocked out by Earthquake, making it a 1-against-1 with my -2 Hydreigon against their King Gambit. Hydreigon doesn't get the crit, and I lose game 1.
I didn't play super well, I think, in all honesty. I think I could have played a lot better.
For game 2, I decide to bring the same Pokemon. I lock in my Mons, but...
Oh, I messed up. They're going to lead King Gambit.
My opponent leads off with King Gambit and Hydreigon, against my Mousehold Hydreigon.
Who do they intend to switch into Population Bomb? They intend to switch Garchomp in here, right? Okay, I was correct that they were switching to who, though? Skeletor? That was a good read by me. Let's go me. I was like, they think that I'm going to go for, whatever it's called. Nice, I connect. That's the end of Garchomp. Big hit.
King Gambit does a ton of damage to Hydreigon, and Rotom switches in. After such a great turn 1, I decide to make an abysmal turn 2. I decide to go for Terra Normal and Population Bomb into the Rotom as Hydreigon switches into Indeedee. Rotom protects.
Mousehold, please hang on. Please. I know King Gambit is strong. Uh-oh. That's absurd. Oh, it was obvious and I fell for it. Okay.
I predict King Gambit to protect and Rotom to switch into Hydreigon, but it's King Gambit who switches into Hydreigon as Rotom sets up a nasty plot. Once again, I need to win a speed tie in order to win.
Come on, Hydra. Show me the dollars. Okay. Every single one.
With my Hydreigon down, Armarouge and Indeedee can't beat 2 Dark types and a boosted Rotom. I lose the game and the set. 2 wins and 2 losses. So there I was. 5 rounds left in the tournament, and I need to win all of them in order to advance. My chat is flaming me. I'm sleep deprived, using a team I've got no experience with that I exhausted myself to build that just isn't cutting it. In other words, things are looking really bad. And in a moment of weakness, I start to doubt myself. 5 whole rounds without a single loss when I've already lost twice in the first 4 rounds? Sounds near impossible. Maybe I can't do it.
Chat, I don't want to do this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna rip the band-aid. All right, hang on. I'm getting my ace. Hang on. Hey, what's going on, guys? Bonus Wolf here.
That's right. I called in Bonus Wolf. I wasn't messing around. And he showed up just in time because the next match was about to start. And just like when it happened live, it seems fitting to hand the rest of this video off to Bonus Wolf 2. Hey everybody, bear with me. I don't normally follow a script, but when the big man says jump, you say how high. Anyway, the 5th match was an absolute nightmare of a matchup. The opponent had Houndstone, Tyranitar, Annihilate, Staraptor, King Gambit, and Amoonguss. King Gambit is already a problem, but when paired with Amoonguss and 2 Final Gambit users, and a ton of Pokemon that hit Armarouge for super effective damage, things are looking a little dire. I lead off with Armarouge and Meowscarada in front of my opponents Tyranitar and King Gambit. I know King Gambit could just Sucker Punch me and one-shot my Armarouge, but I'm feeling risky. Staraptor switches in as King Gambit goes for Terra Dark. Meowscarada does a decent chunk to Staraptor, and Armarouge launches Armor Cannon.
Bonus wolf difference, baby.
I predict Tyranitar to protect, and I terrestrialize my Meowscarada as I switch into Indeedee. Thanks to the Terra boost, Meowscarada KOs Staraptor. My opponent's last Pokemon is Amoonguss, which can't win a 1 against 4 as Meowscarada one-shots Tyranitar. 1 win, 0 losses in this set. For game 2, I decide to switch things up even though I won game 1. I try a new lead, Armarouge and Mousehold. My opponent leads with both Final Gambit users, applying immense pressure. I predict my opponent to Final Gambit into Armarouge, even though close combat will KO Mousehold, and go for Population Bomb and Protect.
Final Gambit into Armarouge.
Population Bomb takes out Staraptor, giving me an early lead, but now Tyranitar is on the field. Here's the thing though, Annihilate is Choice Scarf, and that means it's forced to use Final Gambit again. I see an opportunity to switch in my Meowscarada, and I go for Follow Me to ensure that Final Gambit takes out Mousehold.
Really should punch.
Meowscarada takes a ton of damage from Rock Slide, so much in fact that Overgrow activates. I send out Indeedee. To my surprise, my opponent's final Pokemon is actually Houndstone. Here's the thing though, Houndstone has Last Respects, Protect, Play Rough, and Shadow Sneak. It has no way of hitting Meowscarada until Indeedee goes down, and it has no moves to get rid of Indeedee quickly. Meowscarada takes out Tyranitar with Flower Trick, and next turn also picks up the 1-hit KO on Houndstone. A 2-0 win in the set puts me at 3 wins and 2 losses in the tournament. 4 rounds to go, and I need to win every single one. All good things must come to an end, and so too does my streak of not playing Murkrow. My 6th opponent had a team comprised of Annihilape, Hydreigon, Gallade, Dragonite, Murkrow, and Choice Specs Goldango. This looked, for lack of a better phrase, horrible. My Choice Specs Goldango counters are already very limited, and with Choice Scarf Annihilape, they can take an undisputed KO whenever they want. There's just no way I'm going to be able to cover for all of my opponent's options, so I decide to lead off with Hydreigon and Meowscarada. My opponent leads with Annihilape and Hydreigon. The problem is, Choice Scarf Annihilape can KO either of my Pokemon with close combat. I decide to make a read. I predict my opponent to, instead of using close combat, go for Final Gambit, and I use Sucker Punch to mitigate some of the damage, letting me set up Tailwind with Hydreigon. My opponent launches Terra Fire with their Hydreigon, and KOs my Meowscarada with Heat Wave. Murkrow sent out, making my Tailwind advantage absolutely useless. My Hydreigon goes for a Draco Meteor, leaving theirs with low HP, but their Hydreigon finishes off mine, leaving me with my final 2 Pokemon. But I have a trick up my sleeve. My Indeedee, normally a Pokemon you wouldn't think to terrestrialize, is actually Terra Fairy. Even though I have 2 Psychic types against 2 Dark types, I can terrestrialize and use Follow Me to completely protect my Armarouge. Indeedee tanks the Dark Pulse, and their Hydreigon knocks itself out thanks to the Life Orb. This lets Armarouge set up Trick Room. Why would I set up Trick Room? Well, I have a hunch that their last Pokemon is that pesky Choice Specs Goldango.
This thing is super slow.
Thanks to Trick Room, Armarouge is able to move before Goldango and take it out in one shot. And it's able to do that because, thanks to Terra Fairy, their Murkrow isn't able to get Indeedee off the field in time. This very precise play wins me game 1. I decide to bring the same Pokemon for game 2. The matchup is already bad, and if my opponent decides to adjust and bring different Pokemon, I really like Meowscarada and Hydreigon lead. This time, my opponent leads off with Murkrow and Annihilape. Given I stopped the Final Gambit with Sucker Punch last time, I'm expecting close combat to go into one of my 2 Pokemon. I switch Hydreigon into Armarouge and terrestrialize Meowscarada, going from 2 fighting weak Pokemon on the board to 0. I U-turn into Annihilape and get my Indeedee in. Indeedee takes a ton of damage, but I'm able to get Trick Room up successfully thanks to Follow Me. Now the speed advantage is back in my favor. Annihilape switches into Hydreigon, but Murkrow goes down to Armor Cannon. Specs Goldango hits the field, and I go for Follow Me and Armor Cannon to try and KO it, but Annihilape switches in to take the hit. Will it survive?
If it kills here, we probably just win.
Yes. Indeedee goes down, making the battle a 3 against 3. I go for Protect and Dark Pulse, expecting a Dark Pulse into my Armarouge, but their Hydreigon goes for Draco Meteor. Thankfully, I have Habenberry.
If I die here, I lose. What is the purpose of Habenberry if it just dies anyway? Oh my god.
Meowscarada comes in. Armarouge does a ton of damage to Hydreigon, but it's not enough, and Hydreigon finishes off Armarouge as Meowscarada takes out Annihilape. It's a 2 against 1. Meowscarada can still win if it just crits.
Crit. Okay, a crit, just in a little damage.
It doesn't get it, and I lose game 2. It's all down to this final game. I decide to bring a Pokemon that I haven't shown yet, Gholdengo. It's super strong into this Annihilate set, which has been giving me a ton of trouble. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. At least you survived. Oh, it'd actually be good if this doesn't kill. Nice. Super clutch.
Annihilate lives the Shadow Ball, but that was part of the plan. Murkrow finishes off Gholdengo, but that's okay. It's time for Armarouge. I go for Trick Room and Follow Me, but my opponent reveals that they also have a new Pokemon that they haven't shown in this set yet. Assault Vest Dragonite.
Psychic Terrain is up. They wasted their Terra. They have no more Terra. They wasted it. For Extreme Speed to connect. Psychic Terrain is up. This should KO unless they're multi-scale. If they're multi-scale, I gambled on being inner focus. And this team sheet told me. The team sheet literally told me and I didn't think to read it.
Foul Play does a ton of damage to Armarouge, but at least we evened up the Pokemon count. Armarouge KOs Murkrow, but Hydreigon takes out Indeedee. It's 2 against 2. Unfortunately, I messed up my Trick Room turns. There's just barely one too many remaining. I can't KO both of my opponent's Pokemon before they KO both of mine. I'm running out of time. I double the Hydreigon with Sucker Punch and Armor Cannon, but I know that it won't do enough damage.
Oh, I need a crit. Oh, that did more than I thought. Is that a crit? That crit totally mattered. I totally got bailed.
Annihilate takes out Meowscarada, but there's still one turn left of Trick Room. Armarouge KOs Annihilate, and I just barely win game 3. 4 wins and 2 losses with 3 rounds left to go in the tournament. My next opponent has some very unwelcome familiar faces. Kingambit, Scarf Annihilate, and Specs Gholdengo are joined by Armarouge, Mudsdale, and Toedscruel? Well, it'll be an interesting match if nothing else. I lead off with Armarouge and Indeedee against my opponents Annihilate and Toedscruel. This Annihilate is Choice Scarf, so I protect with both my Pokemon to see which move it wants to use. U-turn is the move of choice, and now I am ready to proceed. Helping Hand Expanding Force KOs Toedscruel, giving me an early lead. I protect both my Pokemon once again, except this time Annihilate wants to use Final Gambit. Final Gambit takes up my Indeedee, but Armarouge outspeeds and KOs their Kingambit, leaving my opponent with only one Gholdengo to try and take out my entire team. It's way too much to ask. I win game 1. For game 2, I bring the same Pokemon, but my opponent switches it up. Kingambit and Armarouge are the leads this time. I don't have a great way of damaging their Armarouge, so I decide to make an incredibly risky play. In front of their Kingambit, a Pokemon that can KO both of my Pokemon, I decide to go for Helping Hand and Expanding Force. Kingambit protects, and look at how much damage I did. I decide to use Terra Fairy with Indeedee here. It's a little weird, but I really want to survive this Kowtow Cleave.
Nice. Nice. I'm gonna survive the turn. Wait, what? They went for that? It would have given me a boost. I survive.
Armarouge KOs Kingambit, giving me an ever so slight lead. Gholdengo comes out.
So what I'm doing here is I'm sacking 2 Pokemon here just to win the game. I don't know how much Specs -1 or Specs thing does. Keep armor cannoning into this slot. Oh, mouse will dodge it. But neither of these Pokemon can protect. So by sacrificing both of my current Pokemon, I'm actually setting myself up really nicely because I have Hydreigon as the 4th. Doobie goes down, but it more than did its job by buying us all this time to get through Trick Room.
Now it's time to close this one out. I send out Hydreigon and Armarouge. Hydreigon finishes off their Armarouge, and my Armarouge KOs their Gholdengo, making it a 2 against 1. Their last Pokemon is Annihilate. I protect Hydreigon as they try to KO it with close combat and pick up the KO with Armarouge. 5 wins and 2 losses in the tournament. Only 2 rounds left to go. Okay, so if you've made it this far in the video, you might have noticed a bit of a pattern. Every single round has been really, really hard. So finally, I am very pleased to announce that this next round is a matchup that is finally in my favor. Well, in my favor most of the time. Mimikyu, Hariyama, Lilligant, Torkoal, Oranguru, and Lucario comprise my opponent's Trick Room team. This would be totally fine, except for Lilligant. Lilligant has the move Sleep Powder, which just adds a ton of variance to the game. Well, maybe they won't bring it.
Lucario. Okay. Makes sense.
Oh. Well, it's Lucario and Lilligant against Indeedee and Armarouge, and Lucario is another Final Gambit user. I predict the Final Gambit and go into Mouse Hold while Armarouge protects. This keeps the Pokemon count at 3 to 3 and keeps my Indeedee alive. Indeedee and Torkoal are both sent out, but their Torkoal is choice specs and can't protect itself. Lilligant does a little damage to Indeedee, but Armarouge KOs Torkoal and brings Lilligant down to its focus sash. Hariyama is revealed to be the final Pokemon, and there's no way they can get through Armarouge. My opponent forfeits. I've got 1 win and 0 losses in this penultimate set. For game 2, I decide to lead with Meowscarada so I can potentially U-turn and break Lilligant's focus sash. Mimikyu and Lucario are the leads. This time, they really want to make sure that they get Trick Room up. I Terrastalize my Meowscarada.
I'm expecting close combat into Meowscarada or final gambit into Armarouge here. And if it's final gambit into Meowscarada, then they got me. Close combat, that's why I Terra Grass. I could live. I break the disguise with U-turn. One of the main advantages.
Mimikyu does set up Trick Room, but Armarouge is in such a strong position.
So what I can do is go for Expanding Force and Protect. Given how they're playing, we strongly suspect that their last 2 Pokemon are Torkoal and Hariyama, and that this turn they're forced to taunt into Indeedee. They're also super slow. This might kill Mimikyu. Doesn't kill.
Mimikyu attacks into Indeedee's Protect, giving me a very solid lead. Hariyama comes out, but there's nothing stopping Follow Me and Expanding Force. Armarouge KOs both of my opponent's Pokemon, leaving only 1 sad little Torkoal. My opponent forfeits. 6 wins, 2 losses. If I win this final set, I will advance to the next day of the tournament. My final opponent of the day has a very scary team. Goldengo, Amoonguss, Gyarados, Garchomp, Grimmsnarl, and Skeledirge. 4 of the Pokemon on this team can boost their stats. Dragonance Gyarados, Swords Dance Garchomp, Torch Song Skeledirge, and Nasty Plot Goldengo. And they have great support Pokemon in Amoonguss and Grimmsnarl. If I'm gonna win this game, I need to overwhelm them before they set up. Maushold and Hydreigon face off against Skeledirge and Grimmsnarl. I Terrastalize Maushold, and Population Bomb only needs 6 hits to take out Grimmsnarl. Dark Pulse does half of Skeledirge's HP, but Skeledirge uses Will-O-Wisp on my Maushold.
Garchomp comes in.
Amoonguss switches in for Skeledirge as Garchomp protects, but I set up Tailwind. Amoonguss goes for the Rage Powder to try and keep Garchomp safe, but Population Bomb does so much damage even while burnt that it puts Amoonguss in range to get KO'd by Draco Meteor even though Light Screen is up. Garchomp uses Dragon Claw, but thanks to the Habenberry, it does very little damage. Garchomp attacks into Maushold's Protect, while Hydreigon does a bit of damage in return, and Skeledirge uses Slack Off. But now they've fallen right into my trap. I switch Hydreigon into Meowscarada, but more importantly, I use Encore to force Skeledirge to use Slack Off over and over again.
Wow, wow.
That's the Wawa sound! Wait, they kept it! Right. I still need to win this game. Flower Trick KOs Garchomp, and with only Skeledirge left, I'm guaranteed a victory. I win game 1. I am 1 game away from making the 2 wins, 2 losses to 7 wins, 2 losses comeback. If I can just win this 1 game, I will advance to the final day of competition. But if I lose the set, I'll fall just short. I lead off with Maushold and Meowscarada against my opponents Grimmsnarl and Goldengo. They Terrastalize with the Goldengo and fake out into my Maushold, but Knockoff does huge damage to Goldengo.
No way I die.
Oh, all I had to do was win this game, but I'm somehow down 2 Pokemon to 4. I need to make a hard read. I predict Light Screen, not Spirit Break, and choose not to Terrastalize my Hydreigon. They switch Grimmsnarl into Skeledirge, but I use Dark Pulse to take out their Goldengo as I set up a Nasty Plot with my Goldengo. It's 2 against 3 now, as my opponents Garchomp and Skeledirge are staring down my Hydreigon and +2 Goldengo. Because of the Air Balloon and the Habenberry, Garchomp can't hit my Pokemon for super effective damage despite having such a positive type matchup. So it's time to go all out. Garchomp protects, but I double attack into Skeledirge, taking it out in 1 shot. 2 Pokemon against 2. I'm worried my opponent will fake out my Goldengo and break my Air Balloon, so to be safe, I decide to protect both Pokemon. What's the worst that could happen?
Fake out into Goldengo. Is it Earthquake? Nice play. I wanted to protect Draco Meteor. Equal onto Hydreigon, Habenberry. I think last game we saw this might not kill. Habenberry coming in clutch. Tailwind comes out. We've got our speed advantage for the rest of the game. And Air Balloon Goldengo coming in super clutch, making it immune to Garchomp. Mega Ring comes out. This is +1. Is it going to be enough? It's Light Screen Grimmsnarl. Is it enough? It is. And it's Garchomp against the world, but it can't use Earthquake to take out Goldengo. Somehow, against all odds, I done it.
I'd made it to the second day of competition despite being in a position where many players would have just given up. But I am not done yet. The second day is only 5 rounds, and in order to advance to the very final stage, I would need to win 4 of them. My first opponent of the new day had a team with Choice Specs Rotom Wash, Swords Dance Garchomp, Garganacl, Grimmsnarl, Assault Vest Hydreigon, and Skeleturge. Honestly, no Murkrow, no Goldengo, it really isn't the worst matchup. I decide to bring Maushold and Meowscarada up front. My opponent leads off with Hydreigon and Grimmsnarl. Now, Hydreigon can't protect, so I decide to double attack into it with Population Bomb and Knockoff, but it terastallizes into a Steel type. Grimmsnarl sets up Reflect, and Population Bomb plus Knockoff just barely doesn't do enough damage.
I should Terra Normal, that's my bad.
Hydreigon goes for a Draco Meteor, KOing my Meowscarada. I go into Goldengo. I predict my opponent to switch out Hydreigon, so I try to capitalize on it. I Encore Grimmsnarl, who sets up a Light Screen, and Nasty Plot with Goldengo. But unfortunately for me, Hydreigon switches into Skeleturge, a Pokemon that doesn't care about my stat boost because of its ability Unaware. I protect and switch into my Hydreigon, as my opponent brings in their Hydreigon and attacks into my Protect.
I had a feeling I was faster, but I wanted to get damage down. Oh, it is Citrus Berry, though. It's resisted, and it's, actually, it did more than I expected.
My opponent sends out Garchomp, and I am in danger, actually.
Rock Slide, I thought I had a Declaw. I lived this, right? Yep. Not enough damage, that's fine. The question is, what is Skeleturge doing here? Is he really a Torch Song? Okay, hang on a second. I think that was a misplay. I think I actually can win now.
Maushold and low HP Hydreigon are all I have left, but could they be enough?
I really want to hard read the Grimmsnarl switching in here, but I think I shouldn't. I'm gonna do this. It's so obvious. I almost Population Bomb into Tailwinded, but I thought that I had to do this.
This turn is kind of a nothing burger, but my opponent's position is way better now. I protect Hydreigon and launch a Population Bomb into Grimmsnarl, but will it be enough?
8. Come on, Maushold. It's just barely not gonna do enough again. I should have Terra Normal. That was a huge mistake.
Unfortunately, this looks like the end of the line. Maushold can't attack into Garchomp without KOing itself thanks to the Rough Skin ability. So there's nothing stopping Garchomp from just Rock Sliding both of my Pokemon. I use Maushold to KO Grimmsnarl and decide to pray for a Rock Slide miss.
Oh wait, not yet. No. It's slow!
Hydreigon finishes off the low HP Skeleturge, and somehow I win game 1. I decide to bring the same Pokemon for game 2. I made a bunch of mistakes, and I still ended up winning, so I feel like the Pokemon were not the problem.
Population Bomb attacks. It would have been in big trouble. But it's okay. Yeah, it does a ton of damage. Fine.
This is a way better turn 1 than last time. Skeleturge comes out, which is a pain for both of the Pokemon that I have on the field. Oh. Meowscarada goes down unnecessarily as Population Bomb fails, but we have a pretty decent lead.
So I think actually here I have a pretty safe chart, or like order that I can follow. I can just Draco here and Protect. Because if Garchomp protects itself, I just Encore it next turn and start going for Dark Pulses.
Garchomp doesn't protect, but it does survive Draco Meteor. Rock Slide does a good amount of damage, but Skeleturge attacks into Maushold's Protect. Garchomp protects the next turn.
Crit wins, a flinch gives me a ton of momentum. No crit, no flinch. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the odds are just so heavily in my favor at this point.
Garchomp fails the double protect, and Maushold takes it out. Skeleturge finishes off Maushold, but it can't win the 1-against-2 against Hydreigon and Goldengo. I win the set. 4 rounds left, and I need to win 3 of them. My next opponent is a former international champion, and he's using a very unusual team. Abomasnow, Kilowattrel, Rotom Wash, Choice Band Garchomp, Life Orb Goldengo, and Arcanine form a very threatening team. My opponent leads off with Garchomp and Arcanine. I decide to go on the offensive, and I launch a Population Bomb into Arcanine. Choice Band Dragonclaw almost KOs my Hydreigon, but Draco Meteor KOs Garchomp in exchange. Arcanine Snarl does a little bit of damage, but in the end, it really isn't that impactful. Choice Specs Rotom switches in.
Rotom?
I don't want Hydreigon to faint to extreme speed, so I decide to switch into Indeedee. And even though Maushold was intimidated, I decide to go for Terra Normal.
Nice. Super good. Come on, 10 hits. -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Goldengo is the final Pokemon. Maushold takes out Arcanine, and Goldengo cannot win a 1-against-4. I win game 1. For game 2, I bring the exact same Pokemon.
Follow me this time, unlike the last time where I went for damage, and I'll go for Tailwind. Uh-oh. I think I'm Population Bombing, but I don't want to. Oh, wow. Nice play. Super good play.
I switch Mousehold into Indeedee.
Okay, switches is good. And oh, interesting. New last Pokemon. Okay, I know the Mons now, which is good. But again, please don't flinch me. Not twice. I just needed one Tailwind and this game was over. Oh? Kind of showing up here in the 11th hour, huh? Roravale, is it Light Clay? It's Akaberry.
I go for Helping Hand Draco Meteor and do some damage to Arcanine, but Abomasnow KOs Hydreigon with Blizzard. Armarouge is my only hope. Helping Hand Expanding Force. Will it KO Abomasnow?
This takes out Arcanine for sure. The question is, actually, this might be okay that Aboma survives here. Oh, I crit the Arcanine?
I'm somehow up 3 Pokemon left to 2. The problem is my opponent's last 2 Pokemon are very strong. They terrestrialize their Goldengo to Flying? Oh, it makes them immune to Garchomp's Choice Band Earthquake. The combination of Choice Band Earthquake and Life Orb Make It Rain are too much for my poor Pokemon. I lose game 2. I feel like the main problem that game was just that I got flinched a lot by Rock Slide, so I decided to bring the same Pokemon once again. For the 3rd time, Mousehold and Hydreigon stare down Arcanine and Garchomp. I need to use Follow Me, otherwise Extreme Speed and Dragon Claw could just KO my Hydreigon. But what will my opponent actually go for?
Please don't flinch. Oh my god.
Arcanine Snarl is basically worthless, and now I don't have to deal with Garchomp for the entire rest of this set. Abomasnow switches in, and it's looking really strong. I go for Population Bomb and Tailwind to try and set up for Armarouge sweeping. But Abomasnow goes for Aurora Veil, not Blizzard. Mousehold barely survives a Flare Blitz, keeping the Pokemon score at 4-3. I switch Hydreigon into Indeedee to protect Mousehold from Extreme Speed. Oh my god, that's so good. Let's go, that's so clutch. It's honestly so good. Okay, I'm in really good shape now. I switch Indeedee into Armarouge to maintain my offensive pressure, but Goldengo switches in for Arcanine. Goldengo protects as Abomasnow goes into Arcanine, but Mousehold KOs Arcanine on the switch in. Sub, okay, this should break, I think. Standing force through Light Screen. A lot of damage. Nice. Then I just have to say didn't I? I go into Hydreigon and go for Dark Pulse and Terra Poison. My position is looking so good. I made a huge mistake. I totally forgot they could Terrascalize. I should have protected. Oh my god, I need to dodge a Blizzard. I totally forgot. I just had to protect. I try and finish off Goldengo with Psyshock, but they protect. This is the crucial turn. I can go for Dark Pulse into Goldengo to try and KO it, but if they go for the double protect, and if they get the 1 in 3 chance for it to work, I can lose if Abomasnow hits Blizzard. But if I try and read the double protect, and they just go for Make It Rain, I'll lose the game since both my Pokemon will faint. They got the double. Oh my god, I'm so glad I called that. Yep, I called the double and that they would get it. Thanks to that hard read, Helping Hand Dark Pulse finishes off Goldengo and I win the set. Only 3 rounds are left, and I just need to win 2 of them to make it into the final 8 players. Unfortunately for me, this was going to be one of my worst matchups yet. Choice Specs Hydreigon, Swords Dance Garchomp, Focus Sash Breloom, Arcanine, Life Orb Goldengo, and of course, Murkrow. My team already has very limited Breloom answers, and when paired with a bunch of other problematic Pokemon, this was going to be an uphill battle. I lead off with Hydreigon and Indeedee into my opponent's Hydreigon and Breloom. The matchup is so bad, so I decide to take a gamble. I protect Indeedee and go for a Tailwind. Their Hydreigon switches into Goldengo, but their Breloom hits my Hydreigon with a Spore. I need to make use of my Tailwind, so I switch my Hydreigon into my Goldengo, and I try to hit their Breloom with a Psyshock. But a switched in Hydreigon renders the attack useless. Their Goldengo sets up a nasty plot, and suddenly, things are looking very, very bad. I have to make a play. I decide to call that their Goldengo wants to protect, and go for Helping Hand, Make It Rain into their Hydreigon. I want to see protect. You ever solve a math problem correctly, but you did some stupid math, so you end up with the wrong answer? Yeah. Without the Helping Hand boost, Hydreigon survives and does a ton of damage back to my Goldengo. With the damage I just took on Goldengo, sleeping Hydreigon in the back, and the fact that neither of my remaining Pokemon can quickly damage their Goldengo, this battle is over. I forfeit the next turn. For game 2, I decide to bring the same Pokemon but in a different order. My opponent leads with Hydreigon and Garchomp, which is a much more favorable lead for me than game 1. Their Hydreigon switches into Goldengo, rendering my Population Bomb useless, but we trade Dragon Claw damage on my Hydreigon for a Draco Meteor KO. This gives me the Pokemon lead, but I'm still at a disadvantage because the Pokemon that switches in to replace Garchomp is Murkrow. Murkrow next to Goldengo puts on a ton of offensive pressure, and I'm forced to protect Maushold and sacrifice my Hydreigon as they go for Tailwind and Make It Rain. I feel like they're going to make a defensive play, so I switch into my Indeedee and Protect. Unfortunately, they go on the offensive, doubling the Indeedee switch in with Foul Play and Make It Rain. I protect Indeedee and go for Terra Steel on my Goldengo, as they haze away their stat drops and go for another Make It Rain.
There's so much damage.
I finally finish off their Goldengo with Shadow Ball, giving me an ever so slight lead. Hydreigon hits the field once again.
Murkrow. Dark. They got me. They got me. Well played. They can't do anything. I mean, it was a bad matchup and they played better.
Murkrow's Haze from the turn before comes in super clutch, as it also gets rid of my Indeedee's special defense boost. Honestly, it was an excellent move, and with only Maushold left, I just barely cannot bring it home. 9 wins, 3 losses. Even though I lost, I really don't feel too bad about it. My opponent played super well in both games, and it was already a really tough matchup. Unfortunately, my next opponent wasn't going to be that much easier. Murkrow and Specs Goldengo once again. This time joined by Life Orb, Terrifier Hydreigon, Scarf Annihilate, which is always a problem, Assault Vest Dragonite, and Focus Sash Gallade. Yikes. My opponent leads off with Annihilate and Hydreigon, exerting enormous offensive pressure, but I anticipated this lead. If I go for Goldengo and Maushold, I can protect Maushold and use Goldengo to get some damage on the Annihilate. Of course, I will need to burn my Terra to make sure that Dark Pulse doesn't KO, but I'm okay with that. The turn starts and their Hydreigon Terra fires. Annihilate blocks into Final Gambit. This is great. As long as I hit it with Shadow Ball, Maushold is in a great position. Shoot. My inexperience with the team bites me hard. I'd assumed that Goldengo would survive that heat wave. With a turn 1 like that and Annihilate still around, this game is as good as over, and I lose game 1. I go for a different plan in game 2. Maushold and Armarouge up front with Indeedee and Goldengo in the back. I haven't tried this specific combination of Pokemon yet this tournament, but if I'm going to win this awful matchup, I need to make some plays.
I need to delete Indeedee here, for sure. I didn't think about that properly. That's why I made a mistake. I needed to delete. I had it right, but I had it in the wrong order.
Well, this is looking rough. I go into Indeedee, my last hope. It's time for my secret weapon, Terra Fairy. Annihilate switches into Murkrow. Indeedee takes no damage from the Dark Pulse thanks to its Terra, and I get Trick Room up. Indeedee uses Follow Me to protect Armarouge.
Please die. This is crucial. If it survives this... Okay. Hydreigon is stuck Dark Pulsing into Indeedee. It's its best move against it.
Annihilate re-enters the battle, and I have a choice to make. Do I predict the Goldengo to switch, or should I assume that Annihilate is staying in?
Oh my god, I could have just killed the thing with Expanding Force. What was I doing? Still okay, if you can even believe that. Just doesn't kill.
Crit!
Thank you.
Indeedee tanks its 3rd Dark Pulse and is still standing strong. Goldengo is revealed as the final Pokemon. The problem is, my last Pokemon, Goldengo, may still lose to their Hydreigon.
I'm going for this. It's very risky, but I think I could lose if I don't do it. Okay, this should kill. This should kill. I took 3 turns of Life Orb to get here. Hydreigon's down, and if Goldengo locks into Shadow Ball, it loses, and if it locks into Make It Rain, I win.
Make It Rain KOs both of my Pokemon, but this is Choice Specs Goldengo, and now it's locked into Make It Rain and can no longer use Shadow Ball against my Goldengo. Thanks to its item choice, I win the 1 against 1. 1 win, 1 loss in this set. It's all down to this game 3. For the 3rd time, I bring a different lead, Indeedee and Armarouge.
I think maybe Psyshock is better here into the Annihilate. Final Gambit. Yeah, okay. Okay. Indeedee's down. Annihilate is down. Trade 1 for 1. That was part of the plan, but it doesn't mean that we're out of the woods yet. Because now it's either Murkrow. It's got to be Murkrow, right? Okay, I get to make a call here. No, I can do both. I can do both.
I go for Population Bomb and Trick Room. If their Goldengo goes for Shadow Ball, they'll end up pinned against Follow Me Maushold.
Is it Make It Rain or is it Shadow Ball? Make It Rain! Okay, here's where things get really interesting. Is it fire or steel? It's fire. I got it right. Okay. Armor uses armor cannon. This does a lot of damage. Oh, no, it's not enough. Is it enough? I don't think it's enough. Oh, I forgot about life orb recoil. They're fast. Oh, no. Wait. No, the life orb recoil. Ah, I forgot about life orb. Oh, my God. I had it. I was so close. That was a really smart play, though. I, like, couldn't punish that. Oh, man. I forgot about life orb recoil. Also, I think they high rolled me. Okay, well, yeah, I forgot. Good game. They played really well. Yeah, it was a horrible matchup.
Oh, so close, and yet just barely not enough. And with that, I finished the tournament with 10 wins and 4 losses, just 1 win short of moving on. But I'm proud of this performance nonetheless. With the team I had no experience with, filled with bad matchup, running on very little sleep, I still managed to put in a performance that I think is impressive. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Thanks for your support.